A federal grand jury in Miami, of course, indicted President Trump last month on 37 felony charges. And the current special counsel, Jack Smith, who is also investigating Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., and there may be filing additional charges there, which would be a separate indictment, which would lead to not only a separate indictment, but also a separate arraignment and separate trial. These prosecutors wanted to bring the case starting December 11th of this year. So a couple of weeks before Christmas, but really like 2 weeks before the campaign season. I mean, you're already going to have debates, but 2 weeks before the campaign season where people actually start voting, like the Iowa caucuses and places like that. So the Trump team has put forward a motion opposing that move by the prosecutors and by the special counsel in this case, and has asked not for a specific date, but has asked for the trial to be delayed until after the election.
I think that this is an interesting move, not really unexpected that they would do this ask as we move forward here. But yeah, I mean, you brought up, do we think they had a primary? We talked about that yesterday, where it almost feels like a foregone conclusion at this point that Donald Trump would take the Republican nominee. I think that that's going to be, if anything was to happen, it would be at this point a shocker for a landslide. We're a year out from having that decision being made, less than a year out from a lot of the first primary is going to be what, January, February? So we know that that's not too far away. In the numbers, it's just such a big gap right now. To make up that difference is going to be very difficult for anybody. So looking at this saying, hey, not only push it beyond the primaries, but push it beyond the general, I think is understood.
The classified documents alone, there's a Classified Document Procedures Act, which it's got all these different rules about like how you, because if you're the defense, if you're the accused, you get discovery. So you get the information that they have about you. And sometimes a court allows a summary of a classified document. Other times, the DOJ has to decide whether to declassify it, or if they feel that it's in the such a national security risk to do that, they have to take away that charge. So they can't, because they can't bring it in court. So I mean, there's a whole host of motions that get filed and issues that get filed. I think this has a likelihood of being granted. It's never 100% in any kind of motion, but it's certainly not like this is unlikely.
The trial, according to the prosecutors, they wanted to start December 11, 2023, which is hardly sufficient time to prepare a complicated case like this for trial. I've had trials that have gone on that have been indicted and haven't been tried for 2 or 3 years because they've been certified as complex cases. Here you've got the Presidential Records Act implicated. You've got search warrants that were executed in Mar-a-Lago that may be subject to motions to suppress. You've got the question of the President of the United States, who's announced he's going to run again against a former president of the United States. So you've got an entire jury pool in the Southern District of Florida that's going to be implicated in doing this. And so Judge Cannon is going to have to make some very difficult decisions in this case, Jordan,
we are
decide what she's going to do.
Today, 5 months from the Iowa caucus. That's the Republican caucus, because the Democrats are moving things around. That's on January 15th. We have the first Republican debate. I don't know if Donald Trump will be at it, but that's in August. That's just next month. So we're in the heart of campaign season. And Andy, I just think that people want to know, is it unusual to make this kind of move? I mean, this whole case is unusual to some extent, but there's always a back and forth on when to start the trial.
But it's not unusual for the defense to seek to have more time to prepare to try the case. And President Trump's lawyers have, I think, correctly filed a motion with Judge Cannon to make the trial start after the presidential election because of the complexity of the issues involved in the case, and more important, because of the publicity that's going to be involved when you're going to have the former president of the United States, perhaps engaging in debates with the incumbent president of the United States over issues that are going to be basically involved in the very litigation that's before Judge Cannon.
For each one of those documents, you have to go through a process. One, is there a way to do a summary that is still fair to the defense, so when they get the evidence through discovery, that they can utilize it? That's part one. But if not, And the judge has to determine that.
Right.
So the judge is comparing it to the classified document. If not, then the government has to decide whether to utilize the classified document by declassifying it to the public as well, and then turning it over to the defense. If they don't do that, they can't bring the charge. I mean, so that's for all 31 documents, they have to go through that procedure.